It's the whole world seeing that we have no civic clerk.
Alex?
Yep, we are ready to begin streaming.
Okay. We're good to go?
Yep.
Okay. All right. We want to welcome you to our August 12th USDB Standing Committee. And there's Member Booth. I think we're all here. I will go ahead if my name is Leanne Wood. I'm chair of this committee, vice chair of the state board. I represent District 4, which is South Davis County and North Salt Lake area. Member Earl, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Jenny Earl. I represent Northern Utah, which is the several districts at the top of the state. And I'm just glad to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Davis?
Good morning. I represent District 11, the north part of Utah County and the south part of Salt Lake County.
Yeah,
it's great to be
Jenny Earl. I represent
Thank you, Vice Chair Booth.
Northern Utah, which is the
Good morning. I'm Randy Booth, and I represent District 13, which is the Nebo School District and Provo City School District.
Thank you. We have our new member with us. Member Earl is going to take on a new adventure with another committee. So we have our newest member from District 7, Member Longacre. Want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I am Erin Longacre. I took the place of Superintendent Hart since she was promoted, and I'm excited to be in this role. Thank you so much.
Great. And Member Britton will be here. Their school started yesterday, so she's kind of in transition with students and trying to figure it all out. So thank you all for accommodating our earlier time. We'd like to introduce our new interim superintendent, Dr. Hart. Do you have anything to say in your new role? Temporary new role?
Yes, I am honored and very excited to serve the students and families at USDB, and I look forward to the work that we're doing as our school transitions.
Great, thank you. All right. Well, we have two public comments today. We'll first start with Kiera Guyman. You have 3 minutes, and look forward to hearing what you have to say. If you please turn on your camera and go ahead. All right. Well, we have two public comments.
Good morning. I would like to first and foremost thank the Utah School Board for allowing me this time to talk, and thank the Utah School for the Deaf. I know that the deaf children and the deaf community appreciate so much the school that they have and the language access that they have directly to their peers and to the educators. Good morning. In speaking with our deaf community, we've also had the opportunity to learn from them and how much they've expressed that they also wish that their families could also learn the sign language to communicate with their family and have that interaction and that bonds with them. With that, in 2023, the School Board of Education did change the law to allow siblings to attend the Utah School for the Deaf with their deaf siblings, where it was a case by case and where it seems reasonable to do so. This last school year, 2025 to 2024, 2025, our children were accepted in this program, or this pilot program, to allow them to learn the language with their sister. The growth that we've seen in her has been amazing. Her educators around her have said that the growth in her this last year, the language, the emotional education, all of that has grown. With this acceptance of allowing the siblings to go to the school, has bridged a gap with the hearing world and the deaf world for her, where those around her in her day-to-day, family members who don't sign, or the neighborhood kids around, the siblings are able to help understand and help the community understand the importance of deaf education, language, and who she is. So she's had these doors opened for her. This last school year, we understand that the changes have been made due to some things that have happened. And one of the changes was that they were no longer accepting hearing siblings. which was a disappointment for us as a family because we've seen the growth in our child, in our deaf child. The teachers around have all expressed how much her hearing siblings have made an impact on her life, as well as the director. We brought our concerns to the director to express how much this is of value to our family. He's expressed that he has a capacity and he's willing to accept our hearing children this next school year. However, it was out of his hands. And we felt like there was no feedback that was requested from the school or from the family to evaluate this situation where it is case by case and it makes sense. I would like to just say that I will continue to advocate and continue to fight for our deaf children as a mother of a deaf child, to see what's best for our families and to hear our community and to express what our community is saying and the needs that they're wanting and wishing that they've had as they were growing up. So I just want to ask the board if you're willing to listen to the community to continue this pilot program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kira. Appreciate your time and being here. We also have Sarah Erb, and just a reminder, it is easier for our public to see the interpreter if those of you who are not speaking want to turn off your camera.
Thank you. Good morning, committee. And I know this is a pretty big group, and my name is Sarah Erb. I live in Salt Lake City, and I'm a parent of a child who is blind and uses Braille. She attends a charter school in Salt Lake, and we feel very grateful to be part of the blind community, and we are always willing to provide additional insights to any legislature, any of the board members, and also our friends at USDB as well, to help make sure that we've got great services for those who are receiving outreach services through the School for the Blind, as well as those who are receiving services in person at those blind school campuses. My public comment today is regarding having the items on this agenda that have not been addressed yet or been discussed yet with the advisory council. So just knowing that, and then maybe waiting until, speaking to the idea of waiting until we've had the advisory council discuss these items before any solid decisions are being made. Thanks so much for your time today, and I would look forward to listening to the discussions. Thanks.
All right, thank you. We appreciate it, and we are always open to public comment. So those that are out there and listening, if you ever have things you'd like to bring forward, please feel free to come and use this time to share with us your concerns and those things that you appreciate and support about our Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind. All right, our first item is...
Chair Wood. There was one more public comment. It was a written one by Eric Guyman.
Yes, thank you. Did all of our board members receive the email from Mr. Guyman? Yes, okay. All right, if you did not, please notify me and I will forward that on to you. So thank you for bringing that. I was going to mention it and I got a little thrown off with the civic clerk not being here and didn't follow through on all my best efforts. So thank you for the reminder. All right, our first item on the agenda is the USDB safety assessments. And I have Leah as speaking to that. Is that accurate? And if not, do you have a member of the superintendency you'd like to?
I am not speaking to that item, Chair Wood.
Okay, it's just on the agenda. They put you down. So, so Superintendent Tanner or Superintendent Patton, could we turn that time over to you two to discuss this? This is a matter of the safety assessments and having to go through 4 different county.
Yes. So currently, since we have 4 different campuses, then we have to comply with 4 different rules that are different from campus to campus, as each city has different safety rules. This is just asking that we have the state safety chief make the ruling or what are the following of the assessments that we need for all the campuses school-wide instead of city by city. That's what we're asking. I think there is a motion if someone's willing to make it.
Yeah, Superintendent Nui, do you want to speak to what our recommendation, how we do this? This would have to be a legislative change. Do you have that? Could you share what you've prepared?
Absolutely. Let me see. Oh, someone sharing screen. Fabulous. Okay, so
I'm sharing, Elise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So Deputy Superintendent of Policy, Elise Nui, and this is a process that we go through with the board every year. And we prepare as staff different requested legislative changes. This would be just a code change. After it goes through this committee, if it passes this committee, it would be taken to the full board. At that time, the board would vote on it. And then my team, the policy team, takes it to different legislators and tries to get it into legislation for the 2026 session. So this change would be to change part of the code that explains all of the duties of the state safety chief. And so this would add to it the USDB. I will add there is in this section of law an opportunity for schools to apply for a waiver to any part of the school safety law. So if this doesn't pass or if there is discussion, there is the opportunity that we could apply for a waiver for USDB and we could put this into waiver rather than into code. So those are just the two options that we have available to us at this time and to this committee. So thanks.
Great, thank you. Do we have any discussion on this matter from our board members? Do you have any concerns with moving this forward?
Cindy has had her hand up, and then I have a comment too, but she had her hand up first.
Okay, go ahead. I will move. Thank you. The sharing and the cameras off. I'm I'm struggling today. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Member Davis.
No worries. Well, I was going to move the motion, but now I have a question on what Deputy Nui was saying at the end there that, what are the pros and cons toward either moving to the state safety chief or requesting a waiver? I mean, are there pieces, these plans are part of a bill that is almost impossible to come into compliance with. So I'm just wondering, do we want to seek waivers on some parts of it, or do we want to move forward with this motion? I'm asking you, Chair, and the committee, what kind of discussion you want to entertain, or do we want to just, I'm happy to move the motion if we want to move forward.
Okay. Member Earl, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I personally would prefer a waiver, and I'm just going to speak to that. I think we've got to have something in place sooner than later. I think if we're looking for a policy change, we're talking legislative session, which we could do both, right? We could pursue both, but I definitely think we need a waiver in place to ask every entity for each building or whatever for our for our schools for the deaf and blind would be, I think, problematic. But maybe Susan has some more input on that.
Well, and we've already done it for this everything was due by the beginning of this last year. So it's already been done for this initial, it's every 3 years. Am I accurate on that? Does someone want to confirm? I think the reviews have to be done every 3 years. We've already completed them for 2024. So this would be for the next round of assessments. And that's why we're asking, because it was so difficult to get them all lined up this time.
Board Member Wood, I think you are correct. This is Susan Patton. I think you are correct. To my knowledge, you are correct. I think that we want to be in compliant though sooner than later, right? As far as like make sure that we're in compliant. So I just, my 2 cents is that I really like the idea of a waiver versus a whole policy change for USDB. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
So I would like to know, and maybe it's Deputy Superintendent Newey would help us. What are we just what are we waiving? Because we can't waive the requirement to have the assessment. So what would your recommendation to request a waiver from?
Sure. Thanks, Chair. So the waiver is available to any school, and it's because there are such specific requirements in this part of the law that the waiver allows a school to apply for really to tweak any part of the law that doesn't apply to them, right? So if we have an online school, for example, that doesn't have a campus, that's one example. So in this case, we would work with the school safety center to develop a waiver that works just for USDB. So it could be that we have just one, we have the state security chief come in and do those safety assessments in the place of the county security chiefs, right? That could be the waiver that we ask for from the state, and we could go through that process instead. So really it would look the same. I think the benefits of having a code change is that it would be permanent. It would be something that would, be on the record for everyone to see for as long as the law exists. I think that's also the downside though, right? If something were to change and we wanted something different, we would have to then go through a code change to get it updated and changed. So I think that's just kind of the benefit and the downsides.
Okay. We have Dr. Tanner and then Member Davis.
Yes, I was going to recommend that we do both. Actually, I think it's that any safety assessments that we are going to do for our buildings, we will want to do across the board. So if there's a waiver we'd want to waive it for all of them and not just one of them. If there's something that's specific to our campuses, we wouldn't want to say this campus only gets this one gets this. So I actually thought, as I'm listening to the discussion, that both would be of benefit to us, is to have this state safety chief come and make sure that our assessments are in alignment. And then if there's any waivers, we probably would need to consider those. But I would consider them for all of our campuses, which would be how I'd recommend.
Okay, thank you. Member Davis, did you have additional?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing that Superintendent Tanner said. So I'm planning on moving this motion and adding the piece and also seek a waiver. I'm not putting a lot of details into the motion because the waiver plan will be coordinated with the Safety Commission, as Deputy Newey said. But this will start the process of that and then open the door up for us to do this during board meeting. Does that sound reasonable to you, Chair Wood, and the committee?
I think so. Is there any Member Booth? Do you have any comments to this? You're good. Okay. Member Longacre, any comments? Member.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. And I see Member Brenton is here. Do you have any comments to this? Do you want to?
No.
Okay.
With the waiver? Are we still?
Yeah.
It makes sense to me that if we do it for one, we do it for all. Like that they have that option, I think.
Okay. All right. Then if there's no other comments from board members, Member Davis, if you'd like to go ahead and move that.
Sure. I move that the committee recommends to the board to request a policy change to reflect the safety assessments for USDB building change from county security chief to state safety chief and also seek a waiver.
Hey, one thing I know is that we are going to have to, in order for this to come to the board in September, we are going to have the details to that waiver. They will not be, the board as a whole will not be accepting of a blanket waiver.
I agree.
Is that something that we want to bring back to here to discuss before it goes to the board? or are you comfortable with them creating the waiver and bringing it to the September board meeting?
How time sensitive is it? If it's not time sensitive, we can bring it back to this committee first and then the board in October. If it's time sensitive, then it's going to be made in conjunction with the safety center, and we'll bring what they have to the full board in September.
Deputy Superintendent Nui, do you have recommendations for that?
If the waiver is just for the assessment, as was brought up earlier, that's every 3 years. So we have 2 years really to do this waiver. So we have some time. If there are additional aspects to it that would be more time sensitive, but as far as I understand, we should have the time to be able to bring it back to this committee.
And follow up, Chair Wood?
Yes, please.
So then are we still going to move forward with having the board request? And when it says policy change, we're talking about a code change, right? So I don't know if we need to change the word policy to code. Also, do we want to wait on that until we wrap our heads around what the safety center recommends? Or do we want to move the first half to the board and the second half to the committee?
I guess for me, I'm trying to determine if we get it in policy, what does the waiver do for us given the timing that it won't happen again until 2027? If there are other, and I would defer to our superintendency of USDB, are there other areas of the code where it was difficult because of the 4 campuses, because of the nature of the schools? Was it difficult to follow through on?
I didn't think that there was. Michelle, are you aware of any other ones?
There is not. This is the only one that would be applicable.
Okay. So then,
do we want to just seek a waiver instead of a code change?
I guess, Dr. Tanner, you spoke to requiring both. Can you help me understand the need for both?
Yeah, so as I was listening to this, I was just saying, because our campuses are in different counties, right? So we have to comply with each county's different rules. It'd be nice to comply with one that's different, because they're different. They're not all the same. And so the idea was, if we answer straight to the state safety chief, we have one recommendation for all of the campuses that we can follow, instead of having to go to each different location to see what they decide they want to do. So that's the idea. And then when we make waivers, we'd like to make them probably for all of them if we were to make one. I don't even know what waivers we'd say, just to say right now. I really don't know. We'd have to investigate that, but it'd be nice to having one body telling us what that is, instead of different people giving us recommendations at different locations. That's why I was thinking, if we have to do it by each location, we will do it. I just wanted to say it seemed both would make sense.
Okay, Member Earl.
So if I'm understanding you right, I do think we want a legislative change for sure, but that's a little bit down the road. That's 9 months or so before that goes into effect and everything. But if I'm understanding, you have 4 different safety recommendations, and what you're asking is a waiver so that the state safety chief can maybe make a decision with those 4 as to what you would need to do, instead of having 4 different plans, that you would have one set plan, which that waiver request could go in sooner, and then that plan could be updated from the state safety chief. Am I understanding you correctly?
That's actually, since we go for a waiver first, it would make sense. It'd be nice to do a waiver first, then we get set this year, right? And then see if we can get it going. That would be a nice touch.
Right, according. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
That would be a nice touch. So we have one.
Okay. So
can we just postpone this? I mean, I don't think we have to move it forward. We can postpone this to next month and get details on the waiver. Is that?
I think we should.
Well, that what we were saying was we would move the code change forward to the board, and then the waiver would come back to our committee.
Okay.
Because our board, the 15, are not going to approve a blanket waiver.
Yep.
They will want the specifics. We may even want to engage member Carey with his work with the school safety. And so that there's a lot of work to be done in terms of the waiver. It would also be good, as our public comment mentioned today, as a waiver going to the advisory council as they look at what things. So do you want to clarify your motion, Member Davis? I think you wanted to change policy to code.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you'd like to clarify.
So let's change policy to code. And let's at the end where it says seek a waiver, let's put and also seek waiver language to be brought back to committee.
Right, so the motion is the committee recommends the board request a code change to reflect the safety assessments for USDB building change from county security chief to state safety chief, and also seek waiver language to be brought back to committee. Any further discussion to this motion now? Does that clarify, Member Earl? Do you feel better about that?
Yeah, I think that's great. That works great.
Okay.
Chair Wood and,
yes.
And Member Davis, do you want to change the word seek to direct?
Yes. Do we need to direct staff to bring waiver language back to committee?
Okay.
Thank you. That's a great change. And I just do want to, because we have talked about this in the past, actually, and I don't know if it was information, it must not have been action. But I just want to make clear that, you know, if this doesn't work and the state safety chief says no, then we are back to counties, and that's what we'll need to do. So I just want to make that clear also. I'll go ahead and make the motion. The committee recommends the board request a code change to reflect the safety assessments for USDB building change from county security to chief to state safety chief, and also direct staff to bring waiver language back to committee.
Thank you. So we have a motion in place. The committee recommends the board request a code change to reflect the safety assessments for USDB building change from county security chief to state safety chief, and also direct staff to bring waiver language back to committee. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
And aye. I'm an aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. All right, our next 1.3 is the deaf and blind school strategic plans. And I will turn any time over. Superintendents Patton and Tanner, you can speak to that as to your order, or whoever wants to go first.
I guess I'll go first. I am the Associate Superintendent of the Deaf for the Utah Schools for the Deaf and the Blind, Michelle Tanner, and I am presenting the strategic plan for the school for the deaf. So we've actually excited to share this. This actually started last year. Wanted to get this to you so you could review it and oversee, see what you think. We have been doing a strategic plan since 2016. So this strategic plan, and I don't know if I can share my screen or if you want to have somebody else share their screen, since I'm kind of a visual person. So have you got this? I don't have what you've got on the screen right now. I've got my thing up on the screen. Is it up on the screen for everyone to see, the USD strategic plan?
Yes, we have the 24-25 strategic plan with the motto, vision, mission. Yep, it's there.
That's it. Excellent. Thank you. Because I've been looking at my own. So this strategic plan, if you scroll down, if you wanted to scroll down to the bottom, but you don't need to, it started in 2016. And 2016 was, we have accounted for and put each at the bottom all of our high level strategic plan priorities that have been accomplished over the years. So you can see the progress and the things that have happened. At the School for the Deaf, we are very attentive to our strategic plan. We visit it at the very beginning in every school year. We call together all our constituents to get ready for what we need for that school year. and we talk it, and that is done at each campus level. So that means it happens at our what's called our EDS campus, our Elizabeth Long School, our JMS campus, which is in Salt Lake, that's lovingly called JMS. And then we also have our KBS campus, that's in Ogden, and that's in honor of Kenneth Burdett. And then we have the Southern Utah School of the Deaf, that's in St. George. Those are those campuses. But in addition to that, there are other programs that are integral to USD. So we have PIP, that's our parent infant program. We have our extracurricular program, and then we have goals for our transition program. This has evolved and expanded over the years so that we have strategic guidance as we move forward. So as each of these different programs meet together in the fall and they call together all their constituents, they do that in focus groups, they do that in surveys, they do that with talking to the teachers. So all of that comes together into their plan. Then they present that plan to myself and the rest of our deaf school administrative team. And as they present their plan, I'm listening to see what it is that we need to do with the school for the deaf. And all the directors are also giving feedback as well. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of this? Could you expand on this? I don't really understand what you were saying about that. We do a lot of that back and forth. Then they take that back to their groups, ask about that, and put that feedback, and then they give an overall plan. On the strategic plan, if you were ever interested in seeing the goals and the school improvement plans for each one of them, it's the top under Division School Improvement Plans. And you can see the individualized plan for that current school year for that specific division. We also, as we do these plans, align them with the Portrait of a Graduate, the USD Portrait of a Graduate, which we spent extensive time developing with all stakeholders. It took over a year to make sure we had all the information involved. So at the top, you will also see, as you look at this plan, the DEAF, which are our priorities, much as like it's MAP for the State Board of Education, which was developed around the same time as the MAP was developed. And so we incorporate that into all the goal areas so that we're never forgetting where we want the children to go. So as we went through this plan and we were developing this plan in February of 2024, the School for the Deaf engaged in our what's called a CEASD accreditation. That is deaf schools accreditation. The cognitive accreditation, although valuable, the most helpful to a school for the deaf is the CEASD accreditation. That one, as I've expressed before, is like having your mother-in-law come over to your house and look through your couch cushions. It's very extensive, and they know what they're looking for. They're very knowledgeable, and we highly value what they say, because when other accrediting bodies come, they don't have the knowledge base to understand what School for the Deaf do, and that's really important to us. So as we engaged in that process, one of their priorities is they talk about school improvement planning, and they recommended at that time that we seek a company to help us also do a more formalized, not just internal, but an external review as we move forward for our strategic plan. So we did that. And that we involved Innovies was we interviewed and sought recommendations from several different groups and vendors that could provide us that service. We selected Innovies. Innovies made sense for us. Innovies is a company that focuses solely on, well, they also assisted, we're willing to assist with the blind school, but they are deaf themselves. It is a deaf-owned company, has a deaf perspective, and they have a long history of providing strategic plans for schools for the deaf. So we engaged with Innovies last year, and they were wonderful. They came, they flew out, we sent them everything. We sent them all the different studies that we had done, but they engaged in focus groups. They came and met with us for an all day. They invited all the stakeholders to come in, and they took all this information and guided the discussion and led us with their recommendations as well. So they have been instrumental. And so we've had an outside and inside view. We're now engaging now at the beginning of the fall here. We are now engaging in getting the stakeholder groups back together so that we can look at this year's strategic plan. If we scroll down to the second page, there are overarching USD strategic priorities. That incorporates the needs of each of the campus programs that they articulated that was a priority. That if there was common themes amongst all of those divisions, those are incorporated here. So you will see that there are 6 strategic priorities right there. So I'm going to not go read through every one of them. That would be extensive. But there is a strategic priorities on academics. One of the things with CEASD, they always make sure that it's a part of the CEASD accreditation. There are always reading and math achievement goals. So we also have a very strong focus on personalized learning. So that is there. There's in the School for the Deaf, it is very important that we collaborate. And that is an emphasis that we're putting highly, that none of us achieve anything in isolation. We all are a group. Everything that we work together accomplishes great things. If we are separated, then we don't accomplish great things. So the importance of collaboration is recognized here in our strategic plan and our strategic priorities. Transition is, of course, if you get them to the end and then they don't succeed after like that, I feel like we've failed. So we are trying to put a strong emphasis on transition so that our students get out into the world, in a world that's not designed for deaf people, and help them to succeed in that world. So there are strategic priorities for that within the school, and I'm hoping to launch them out into the world afterwards. We also have a priority about the excellence of our teachers. We know we have highly qualified and very highly educated teachers, and they are very devoted and they are very attentive to the needs of our students. And we want to honor that by giving them the support that they need and the freedom, the support, and the professional learning that they need. So you'll see that reflected there. As we talked about earlier, safety and security, that has been a high priority topic, both within the country and across the world, but also at the School for the Deaf and the Blind. And so we have a goal for the School for the Deaf, specifically for making sure, and that came from a lot of the Innovies discussions. And the other thing that was highly prioritized both by the CEASD accreditation, Innovies, the student body, was our need for facilities and the concerns they have about being able to accomplish what they would like to with the limited space that they have. And so there was a recommendation there. If you wanted to scroll down, you are welcome to. There in each of the goal areas, you will see our current strategic priorities, and then you will see what results. If that goal has been there for many years, you will see when it started and also the accomplishments that have occurred throughout the years to accomplish that goal. Some of them are newer, and so you see then that their years are not as extensive. So that's how you can read that program and read the USD strategic plan. And I'm excited to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Tanner. Just good news, our civic clerk is back up. Thank you to our staff. So you can get all of these documents much easier in the civic clerk backup. So do we have any discussions to this item? I just as a personal comment, had the opportunity to participate in the strategic planning with the company that you brought in, and they made strategic planning actually fun. So it can be an enjoyable experience.
They may have brought a stuffed animal that looked like a monster. It said, big hairy ideas. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a really positive opportunity. So, Member Earl.
Yeah, when does this need to move forward? And the only reason why I'm asking is I know this has goals for this upcoming year, right? Moving forward, but quite honestly, I've not had time to do the deeper dive on this where I wasn't able to access Civic Clerk on it. So it's newer to me, and many of you might have read it last week. I'm not sure, but my time was not available then. So I guess I'm asking if this can be delayed a month or if it has to be moved forward. And if so, that's fine. We can do that. I just wanted to go a little bit deeper. And then also I have just a little bit of a concern over the facilities at this point. While it can be a recommendation, I think we have to be really cautious for the next year while we're kind of sorting some things out. So.
If I may, I appreciate that comment. That was one of the things I actually asked Innoviz. I did say to them, I have concerns about that one because I really don't have anything from USD on to be able to act on that. That was their recommendation. It's one of the ones they put in there, but I agree with you. That takes a whole lot more. And so I wouldn't even mind taking that off if that was the recommendation. I can see that not being, we're focused more on the top 5.
It is a difficult one because it has nothing to do with you. And how do you have a strategic plan that you actually have no ability to make happen? So
I agree. Yeah, that was one I left on there in honor of their work, but yeah, that.
So would you say they may have included it because it was relevant to the academic needs in the school, not necessarily that they're trying to say this is your goal, but it definitely is relevant to academic success if you've not got enough space or whatever. So
yeah, and it was something that came about from every conversation they had with every group member was that was something they were struggling with and needed to progress. So in honor of that is true. That is an accurate statement of what they feel is very much a priority. Like I said, from my vantage point, that takes a lot more than what we have control over. So that's what I had concern is about. But it is certainly relevant. It's certainly important, but I would understand also if we didn't have that on there, that would not concern me.
Okay. Any others? Member Davis.
I would probably support removing that from this document at this time. But also, I'm wondering, we are going to be talking a lot about the USBE strategic plan at the end of this month. And now that there's been a code change governance wise for, USDB and USBE have a different kind of relationship. And so now it would be, if I'm understanding right, and maybe we can check with our strategic plan experts, we'd have this strategic plan for K-12 education, but then we would USDB, even if we kept all of this word for word, it would be an operational plan under the umbrella of the USBE strategic plan. So I don't know if we got the question answered for sure about the timeliness. Can we wait a month and then discuss it again in September and send it to the full board in October? Or was there something problematic about waiting that amount of time till we sort some of that out?
If I may, this was actually put together last year, and I think we've kind of waited to get it on the agenda because other pressing needs were in front of the standing committee. And so this kind of held off and was put farther out. Obviously we need goals. We need to keep moving forward. And so we will act as if we're moving forward on these until it's finalized. But the intent was, we're starting now the 25-26 strategic planning because this was actually was intended for last year.
So do we need this? Sorry, Chair, just following up. Do we need this if we're starting the 25-26? Or do we want to just move the 25-26? Member Booth is really so I'm going to stop and listen to what he has to say.
Member Booth.
Okay. Sometimes I think we get confused in terms of what our role is with the School for the Deaf and the Blind. We are their board. We're not the state board. We are the state board, but in terms of what we're doing with the School for the Deaf and the Blind, we are that local board. And certainly USBE comes up with a strategic plan that has overarching impact, we hope, across the entire state with every LEA, every charter school, the School for the Deaf and Blind. But that is not their individual strategic plan. Nebo School District has had a strategic plan every single year, and for multiple years, 10 years at a time, they've gone through all of the exercises that Dr. Tanner and the team have gone through for the School for the Deaf. And so it's this is not the state board approving the strategic plan for the School of the Deaf. This is the board for the School of the Deaf, the local board for the School of the Deaf, putting our support behind the work that they've done and saying, well, what do you think about this? And well, this is great. And thank you very much and good luck. And it's going to change each year. They're going to revisit the strategic plan and maybe make some slight adjustments to meaningful priorities. And that's not something that's got to wait for what we do with USBE. If every LEA and every group of educators across the state were waiting for us, there would be no strategic plan. So I'm glad that we're getting on it for the end of this month, but they have been doing this strategic plan and will continue to do their strategic planning in order to just be operational and to succeed in accomplishing what they are wanting to accomplish with their children in their school this year. At the end of the row, we've got to have that role of being supportive and asking hard questions if need be at certain times, but we're not approving their strategic plan and trying to figure out how does it fit in with USBE's strategic plan. They have their own strategic plan, and we need to take the role of a board, a local board, and ask hard questions, but support them in that strategic plan and let it develop as each year goes by, as they make meaningful changes based on what's happening as water gets to the end of the row in the garden. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Member Booth. Member Davis.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of that, and would have prior to this change this last year, this operational change in governance. And so I think we do have to take a little bit of time to look at how that's going to change what we're doing. Similar to like in a NEBO, the board will create a strategic plan and then the superintendent will have operational plans under that. So I probably am going to make a motion. Well, I think Member Earl was maybe going to postpone this to next month. So maybe I'll just wait for her, and then we can work out some of these logistics as we talk through, some of the things that Member Booth said and Member Earl said, and we can look at this and then bring it back next month. If that's what you were going to do, Member Earl, I'm going to lower my hand.
Go ahead, Member Earl.
Next. So I'm grateful for Randy for weighing in, because I actually feel like this should be their strategic plan. Now that, the more I'm thinking about it, it shouldn't be separate from that. So I do agree with that. The other thing is Dr. Tanner, if you can, or one of you, either that or Susan, just weigh in on the facilities piece. How did they come to that decision? What was the information they had? Because there seems to be this question around numbers of students is the question, whether it's accurate or not accurate, or are we measuring it the same? That seems to be the question. At what time are we measuring it? And is it consistent from year to year that we're measuring it the same so we can actually see growth or where we've had declines? But the reason why I say that is because almost everybody that's put together some kind of a outside review has all come to the conclusion that there are some needs when it comes to facilities. So it's hard, as I sit back and look at this, for us to just take that off and say, well, this is a hard conversation to have right now. It's still relevant. So I'm trying to decide whether, I don't know, if we kind of change the language a little bit so it's not adjust the language, but still recognize that there's some needs for facility accommodations. And I can look at that. Let me see if I can come up with some language. So the question, I guess, is, and I did read through it while others were speaking. I feel fine. I feel comfortable with the plan itself. I just haven't had time to do a deep dive like others have maybe been able to. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking in a circle now. But
before we turn the time to Dr. Tanner, we have Member Hart and Member Bridges who would like to speak. So then we'll turn the time to Dr. Tanner.
Did you call on me?
I did.
Okay, just thank you. As the interim superintendent, I would appreciate another month to review this and make sure that it's going in the direction that that we can support, and we can make sure that it's clear to staff and everyone what the path forward. The strategic plan has to really guide the work and direct the work, and just spending a little bit more time on refining it and making sure that it is super clear and it's super in line with the aims and the vision and the mission. If you were, 50-50 on what to do next, I would just like to tip it to 51%. We could use a little bit of time just to have some discussions and make sure it's as current and precise and clear as possible. So just my 2 cents. I'm, trying to not disrupt what the school is doing, but at the same time provide some clarity and fresh eyes to something that they've been working on for a while. So a few weeks could make a real difference and make sure that we're guiding the agency in the best way possible.
So, Dr. Tanner, I have a question for you. This is your 24-25. You've already been working on this. How do we get to 25-26? Because that's where we're at right now. How could we get to the point where when we bring this to the board, we're actually approving for the future and not looking back?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. As I said, this was actually put on and completed last year. I've been waiting to get this on the agenda, and the other things postponed it. However, where we're at right now is we're starting 25-26. So as we're currently meeting, the directors are now going to start. They start this after school gets settled in. They start meeting with their constituent groups, their parents, their teachers, and they gather all that information so that we can look forward. We also incorporate where we've been this last year. So one thing I failed to mention was in the spring, we always look to see what we did accomplish, and they each present in the spring of what was accomplished and what they're looking forward to engaging in the next year. So I actually think it would be nice to see a forward progression of the plan, because this is actually last year's. And so we're starting, and that would make great sense to incorporate the advisory council, which we've also presented this to the advisory council a while back, so they were fully aware, and to involve you in the discussions of all these things. And of course, we have some new direction, which I agree with Dr. Hart. It's nice to see that direction as we move forward. And addressing also Board Member Earl's question, the facilities, the ask about the facilities. The one thing that is beautiful about having, for example, CEASD come in. CEASD works in the numbers of all the schools for the deaf. So they walk into the classrooms. They know what a school for the deaf classroom should look like. the kind of ratio they should have. And they have been operating some of these people 30 plus years. So their recommendations from the CEASD accreditation team about facilities was recognized also by Innovies. Innovies, again, because they are a deaf company that works with strategic plans across the nation, they recognized that our space was very small in comparison to the other deaf schools across the nation. So it wasn't looking at student numbers as those outside or those who are looking in who aren't familiar with deaf schools have done. So it wasn't just that they looked at numbers, although they saw those. Innovies, the CEASD accreditation body, when they made those recommendations, is based off a strong history and knowledge of schools for the deaf, and there are average numbers, what those numbers look like, and what the services that schools for the deaf across the nation offer, like for example, a science room, which we don't have. So those kind of things. So that was where that recommendation came on it. It wasn't looking like other individuals look at it and just see numbers. They looked at it and they recognized what their past history with schools for the deaf are doing. So just addressing both questions. And then as far as moving forward, I would love to, because we're now engaging in the 25-26 year. And so I would love to take this, incorporate feedback as we always do from everybody so that everyone's in the know. I would say about November, we have enough time to get that to November, because it's going to take the time of them meeting and then presenting and then getting feedback from within the school and getting feedback from the advisory council, getting feedback from the standing committee. I would see that we'd see where we're heading to go in about November, so everybody could see that. And in the meantime, we'll be working on this one.
Okay, so Member Brenton put her hand down, so I will and said she seconds Dr. Hart's comment to wait. Member Earl and then Member Booth.
So now I'm confused. If are we receiving this or we are approving it? If we're at the end of it, meaning there's a new one being constructed or we're updating it, isn't that what should be coming to us now? And I know you said by November you'd have that information, but it would seem like we're receiving something if it's already done. Does that make sense? More like a report. Then we're approving something that will be accomplished. So that's my confusion. The other thing is when it comes to facilities, I think anything with facilities, the language should be something like prioritize space needs and not necessarily request that we build out or, increase by 4 classrooms or spaces needed, that we prioritize the spaces, the requests. So that's my thoughts. So maybe someone can answer that. Are we receiving or are we approving? And if we're approving, we're like a year late, I feel like.
I think this is an informational item. A year ago.
Okay, so neither one.
We didn't, well, now that we're looking at it, because we didn't have this group in place a year ago.
I see.
So you think about it, we
organized this. I see.
So we have not been in a place to, we are really, because this committee has only been in place for 6 months. I guess we're heading into 8 months now. We're over halfway through the year. We are in arrears a lot of the time. Cell phone plans, calendars should have been approved in the spring. Like we are starting to do the job we should have been doing for many years, in my opinion. We are finally at a point where and if we move this till November and approve a 25-26 plan, we are finally kind of getting caught up to where we need to be, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm if it's just informational item, I'm good to just there's some feedback. I guess if others have feedback, they'd probably want to give it to Dr. Tanner before you come up with your next plan. And that can be done where this is informational. We're not actually receiving or voting on. So, okay, good to know.
Member Booth, comments to my ramblings.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to look at this strategic plan and to applaud the work that has been done in the field. And as a board, I think it would behoove us to not approve, but to review and express gratitude for the fact that they have spent the time, used precious resources to think clearly, to project what should be their plan, what should be their goals. They've been marching to those orders now for a year on the plan that we're looking at right now. And I want to just express gratitude on behalf of the board that they have not just worked and met the needs of students, but they have thought carefully and precisely and come up with a plan and have been working the plan. And we look forward to the adjustments and the changes that will be forthcoming over the next few weeks and months. I mean, basically, as school is now starting, September, October, they've got about 2 months that they will adjust and come up with the new plan, which we would now, under normal circumstances and normal schedules, approve when we get that new plan. But the fact that they've had a plan, that they've been working the plan, is fantastic. And the fact that they were very serious about it and even hired people to come and help them do it and do it right, I think is outstanding. And I just want to go on record of being especially appreciative of their efforts in the field to be very careful and informed and proactive in terms of the decisions that they're making, always bringing them back to that strategic plan that they put in place a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago and 4 years ago. And we look forward to what they're going to be doing in November. That's when I think we would approve it. Until then, we just need to say thanks and keep going because you're doing good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Booth.
Thank you.
So, Superintendent Tanner, would you agree to that we've received this, you've been working on it, and we move to a point where we would approve 25-26 in November?
That would be great. I really appreciate that. And I look forward to your feedback and the active engagement in the process. Is very welcome. And I appreciate it. So yes.
Okay, great. Then we will turn over to our School for the Blind. Dr. Tanner.
Great.
Or Patton, sorry.
No problem. Thank you. So as proud of this as the School for the Deaf is with their strategic plan, I'm not quite there because I need to explain where we have been and where we are today. So this strategic plan was a 5-year plan that was implemented in spring of 2020. So that was a couple months before I took this position. And the School for the Blind, how we have developed the school, and I was the director of Deaf Blind Services. That's how I know this. We ask each division to come up every year with their school improvement plan. Then we look at trends as far as what each division's school improvement plan on an annual basis is, and we then looked at those trends and came up with the areas that you'll see in front of you here. So our plan was to redo our strategic plan to implement it of spring of 2025 to then go forward with the plan in effect of 2025-2026 school year. We also contracted with Innovi. We did a Utah School for the Deaf and Blind with Innovi's. And because of funding source reasons, we were not able to actually execute any of the things that Innovi had suggested, or the only thing we've ever done with them is actually meet with them just online. In fact, I'd meet with them this week as well. They have all of our information, and we're looking at trends, and we'll bring in focus groups and do the same thing that the School for the Deaf did. So what you see before you right now is very, very, very much a working document. We put, the directors and I felt like in May of 2025, when we knew we were not going to have the funding, and again, we actually had to cut Innovive off and say, we actually can't contract with you at all for the School for the Blind. And they were disheartened, although they are, like I said, meeting with me tomorrow because they are very anxious to work with the School for the Blind, which I am excited about. So these were the areas, and Leah, if you'll scroll down, these are the areas that were implemented in spring of 2020, the academics, and then there's stakeholder stakeholder engagement. And then you can scroll down again. Thank you. And transition. And those were the areas of focus that the School for the Blind has used. Now you'll see the different colors. Again, this is a very much a working document, and we're hoping, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know that there's any hope that we'll be able to work with Innovies this year. And I'm kind of at a stalemate as far as not sure, do we just put our information that we have here and wait till 2026 and reevaluate to see where we are? I don't want to just hold off on things because this is year 6 of the 5-year strategic plan. And however, as Dr. Hart was talking, I thought, well, maybe we utilize something at USBE as far as formalizing our plan and bringing focus groups in, because we really want stakeholder input and to make sure that the trends that we're seeing, they're seeing as well. So I'm open for any comments. You'll see on this, we have all of our divisions. We have elementary, which is our campus program. We have our Bridges program, which is our secondary. We have outreach, which is our TVIs and O&Ms that serve in our outreach services. We have our early childhood, which is our parent infant program and our preschool program. And we have deaf-blind services. And each of those have you'll see the trends throughout the years on there as far as their school improvement plan is concerned. So I'm open for any feedback. Like I said, Michelle's document the School for the Deaf is so beautiful and it's very, very clear. And we're really looking forward to working with Innovie, but also I know that we don't have the funding this year. It's not cheap to do this, but also I think it's very well worth it. So I'm open to anybody's suggestions of what we should do.
All right. Do we have any comments to this? Member Booth.
Thank you. I've had a chance to read through this material, and the fact that you have so many groups, it's amazing. It's amazing to me that you can keep all of this rolling forward in the same direction. But you've got a lot, as you go down that list of elementary and Bridges and the outreach and outreach alone, as you break that down, the various ways that program meets the needs of students across the state. This is complex, but I heartily applaud you for the fact that even without a company to help you pull it together, you've pulled this much together. You've got some really excellent thinking going on here, and you've got people who are in the trenches making the day-to-day happen for kids, prioritizing what they need to be doing in order to continue successfully meeting those needs. And so it's such valuable information. I think if you had a couple of consultation days with the folks that you're meeting with again tomorrow, you might be able to put this in a format that wouldn't be quite so detailed, so much. It's kind of like this is the gathering place for all of the ideas and all of the thought and the prioritization that has gone on up to this point out in the field. So now from that pulling together, how can we streamline the information and put it in a strategic plan template that you could bring to the board in November and make that your plan for the next 2 or 3 years, and come up with this is year 1, this is what we plan to do with year 2. This is what we plan to do with year 3. And then probably we're revisiting again. I think 5 years is a noble exercise, but the fact is that 5 years, it's really taking you that much time probably to just gather all of this valuable information. And so now, how do we put it into how do we implement as we go to the 25-26 year? How do we get the approval so that the board is behind you and supporting you with resources and and we are clear in our understanding of what really needs to be done and what the priorities are. I don't think we can sit on it. It's too valuable of information. This is the key information that can assist Dr. Hart and assist us as a board to move the School for the Blind forward in the dramatic and important ways that we need to move it forward for the children that we currently have among our in our classrooms. And they're just about here. So let's not sit on it. Let's use this valuable information and all the hard work that's gone into this and find some resources if need be to get it in a template or in a format that will allow you as the School for the Blind to move forward in aggressive and proactive ways to do what you've been doing all along, but now with greater understanding on the part of those who have just been watching from a distance. We need to understand, and we want our legislators to understand all the good that is being accomplished and what those priorities are as we meet the needs of the blind students in the state of Utah.
Thank you, Board Member Booth. If I can speak to that, Board Member Wood.
Yes, please.
So in the past, this has been the template, and of course it doesn't look like this because we have, it's not all colored, different colors and whatnot. But this has been the template, and then the goals have changed as far as the division-specific action steps, and based on their school improvement plans that they've developed each year. I appreciate your comments, especially because the directors and their divisions work so hard in gathering data and also and looking at the needs. One of the things that I wanted to do, and maybe I can do this before the board or November, one of the things that the School for the Blind has been missing is the constituent feedback. We do surveys based on our activities, but I really, really liked the way that the Innovies, how they structured their focus groups. And Board Member Wood, you spoke to that as well. I think that that is something that the School for the Blind and the School for the Deaf, but that we are in desperate need of, is we need the constituent feedback at parents, but other stakeholders as well. And so I need to organize that, because I agree with you, Board Member Booth, that we can't wait for a big company to come in and make things look pretty and even actually organize it. Because what we're doing is really good work, and I want to make sure that that's demonstrated. Especially this year is going to be a very important year at the legislature, and for the legislators to be able to see what's happening. So I don't know what the word is. I just feel a little insecure about this, because I want to make sure that they can understand what we're doing, that everybody, I tell the directors all the time, our work should be able to speak for itself without us having to actually explain it. And that's what needs to happen with the strategic plan. Anybody in the entire population should be able to look at a strategic plan and understand what that means without having to have the experts in the field explain what that actually means. And to do that, I really feel strongly that we need to have the focus groups. So that's, but you will have something in November that is more formalized than this. Obviously, it's been more formalized in the past. What's been on the website and what's been approved by the advisory council and the board in the past has been more formalized, but it's been in the same type of a format.
So those are my thoughts, but you will have something that's more formalized, and I will have, I don't know how it will play out, but I will have some kind of a focus group to be able to have some input from stakeholders also for a strategic plan. But I also think we will, as soon as we can afford it, I think we will have Innoviz try or help us with the organization so that it does look like the Schools for the Deaf, so that you can look at it and understand exactly what we're trying to say, and also bring those focus groups together. That's the meat of it. That's where I feel like the focus groups and assessments are where I feel like we actually get the information that we need.
Okay. Thank you, Superintendent Patton. Member Earl.
Yeah, maybe just one suggestion too is, and maybe this is on both of the documents, just can you do an acronym dictionary of some kind?
Yep,
absolutely. I know a lot of the terms, but I can't, as I was reading through it, we started right off with acronyms and I thought, oh boy, I'm not sure how accessible that is in general.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Unless you're in the field, it may have it, you're almost speaking acronyms every other word. So
which speaks to what exactly I was just saying, right?
Yep, it does. But that just reminded me when you said that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. And maybe Superintendent Patton, maybe there's a way that USB can offer some of that support to you to.
That would be great.
So I think we know we've had our role. The law has created a greater role. We have to kind of massage what that means. But we need to be the support that you need to make things happen. So hopefully in the end, you'll feel that the support is there. All right. If there are no objections, then I would recommend that we move these to November and that we approve a 25-26 version. Is there any?
Leanne, wasn't this an information item? We can't approve it. It would have to be action. Am I wrong?
It was an action item, but that's what I'm saying, that it was an action item, but there was a motion to approve the strategic plans. But that's why I'm saying without objection, we will not move forward on these as they've been in process, and we will move to November for and look to the future.
I misunderstood. I thought someone said it was information. So
no, well, I said that comment not as a item. I'm saying this is informational to us because they've already been doing it. I wasn't
I thought you were saying, and I thought I'd misread it, and I thought
no, I wasn't defining what kind of what kind of agenda item it was.
Gotcha.
So it was identified as an action agenda item, but I say that
I think we need to. I'm not comfortable approving right now. So
yeah, exactly.
Yep. So I'd move it. I'd postpone until the September board meeting or September committee meeting.
Well, she's saying that we're not going to take action on the 24. We're going to take action on the 25-26 plan as it is emerging right now.
Someone else make the motion. I apologize.
Well, I'm saying that we don't have a motion. We just know that they will bring those back in November for 25-26. But there would be no motion.
That I can do. That I can get behind.
Okay. That's any. I'm not seeing any hands. We will move forward. Thank you for the conversation from both Superintendent Patton, Superintendent Tanner. I think we've come to a better understanding of where we need to be, and now we'll start looking to the future with each of our agenda items. All right, the next item is 1.4 action item R277-800. We had some public comment to that. We approved this last year, and there have been some just some need to relook at it. Dr. Tanner, do you want to speak to where we're at with this, kind of how it's been working? More as the big picture perspective, right? Not to specific families or students or whatever, but what how it works within the school.
Yep. Yes. And so as this was passed, after this passed, we've had 2 students that we have added that are hearing siblings across the different campuses. And as the public comments indicated, it's a very beneficial to the families who can now communicate with their family members and have that resource to learn sign language and to be able to be fully integrated with their families and feel like they're a part of the team. And I agree that it is very important, and we love being able to offer that. At this time, some of the decisions that are being made is because of our significant budget constraints that we've got going on right now. We've got difficulties, as has been very public and has been made in these standing committee meetings and in the board meetings. And so as we have, our teachers are now taking on responsibilities, and sometimes in other cases taking on some workload that they didn't have in the past, which means it's a few more students in their classroom. One of the things that we talked about is it probably wouldn't be prudent to add to that burden and the cost to add additional students. So this year we've said we'll maintain the students that we have, but adding more would be a difficulty to the classroom teacher who's taking on more, and to this school just adding. So the budget constraints is just a consideration that's hit us pretty hard this year, and it's in trying to balance both the needs that we highly value, the importance of families in there, and making the budget decisions that we have to make at this time. So that's kind of where we're at with those kind of decisions.
Okay. So what has happened is there's been a request to clarify in this rule that this acceptance is based on the subject to available funding. Because as I'm understanding right now, no new students are being accepted at the school. So whether it's not that we're pausing on our hearing siblings, it's that we are pausing on students due to budget. Is that accurate?
No, that's not it. We still have been accepting the students that are deaf and hard of hearing that need our services, because their IEP teams have determined that they need to be in a self-contained school, so yes, we are allowing the deaf and hard of hearing, but knowing that that's our primary mission. Those are the students that are getting the attention and getting the prioritizations, are the deaf and hard of hearing students, which limits our ability to add others.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Superintendent Patton.
I wanted to speak to that as well and clarify. Yes, we are adding new students. We'll see what our capacity is as we move along. I will also say this is not necessary. I'm not speaking to this to this what Michelle is talking about, but we do have peers that do attend at the School for the Blind preschool. They're not necessarily siblings, but we will do that until we don't have room any longer, because of the importance of having peers with our students who have multiple disabilities and who are blind and visually impaired for communication, and also modeling and all of the above. But right now we do have room for 2 peers along our campuses. So that's what we are taking in.
Okay.
I just wanted to be clear so that if somebody heard what was going on at School for the Blind versus a School for the Deaf, that they're very different. And so, I want to make sure that we're very transparent.
I appreciate that, because I think sometimes we lump you all together.
Yeah, it's very different.
And we don't acknowledge that the care, the sources, the resources, the services, everything is unique to those specific sensory needs. So thank you. Member Earl.
I'm trying to sort this out. So we're making a policy decision here that it's based on available funding, but parents have already been notified. I think they were notified in the spring that someone was notified, right? That's the one father that sent us public comment that we would not be continuing this, at least this year. And we do know the benefits to it, both from the family and, siblings, as well as the individual that may have some kind of a experience hearing loss. And I just want to, so we are, if we have additional needs for hearing students on IEPs, despite the fact we don't have maybe adequate funding, we still have to address those needs. I'm just trying to articulate the whole, right? So those kids, we try to make the accommodations the best we can, but because we didn't get additional funding this year or previous couple of years with the needs, we're having to restrict some of these other services that are beneficial to families but not required by law. Is that
That is
am I understanding that right?
Perfect. That is the perfect clarification in my mind.
Okay.
Beneficial to families, but not required by law. Where we are required by special ed law to provide a special school.
Yep. Okay. But we do know and have seen where this helps those students. But okay, I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, it's trying to figure out that funding request moving forward is important because, we do have, we're stretched, number one, but number two, we do have needs that may be beneficial for families in this community. So, all right. Sorry, I'm just vocalizing this out loud.
No, thank you. Member Booth and then Member Longacre.
So in addition to what Board Member Earl just clarified, could you clarify for me what the specifically the outreach program in both the School for the Deaf and the School for the Blind entails? Is the outreach program not required by law in order to meet the needs that are included in the individual students' IEPs? Because I had heard some rumor somewhere that probably outreach was going to go away as one of the first things that would have to be let go because of the budgetary concerns, and all kinds of red flags flew in my brain when I heard that. I just could not even imagine that would even be a consideration. So could you clarify what role the outreach services, the outreach programs for both the blind and the deaf entail, and whether those are required by law or whether those are just nice to have?
If I may, to address your question.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to say this, what we see in front of us today is focused on what's happening at the campus to manage some of the budget constraints and how we're trying to implement this school-wide. What budget, there is a lot of people that are impacted, a lot of divisions, a lot of budgets that we operate that are managed. So this one is specific to campus, the campus budget. I would argue and say that the outreach program is integral to those students who have those needs, and it is on their IEP that they get those needs. And in order for them to succeed, yes, they absolutely need the services from the schools for the deaf and the blind, whether that be orientation and mobility, to an interpreter, to a teacher for the deaf, teacher for the visually impaired. Those students just have different needs. Their needs are better suited in their home districts, whereas the students in this campus, their needs are best met with other individuals, other students, teachers that they can communicate directly with, and we can give them more intensive services. And the language development for these students is better served around other students that are deaf and hard of hearing. The students that are typically in the outreach on the deaf side are the students that tend to have a bit more hearing, and so they can hear a bit more, but that does not in any way, shape, or form equate to, I don't need any services. They need different types of services. We put in a lot of assistive technology. We visit them. We make sure their language development is moving forward. And so I say, as far as budget cuts, that's a discussion for a different time, but absolutely the outreach students need the services that are on their IEPs that we are currently providing to them.
Thank you. Okay, I want to give Member Longacre an opportunity to ask her question or to comment, and then I'll turn the time to Superintendent Voorhees.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out my video, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So it's my understanding, and please be patient with me as I try to express my thoughts. So there's 2 students in the School for the Deaf that are hearing that are in your program because it helps the family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was nodding my head.
Okay, thank you. So, and then you're saying because of lack of funding, you are not able to accept additional students who are in this type of situation.
Yes, and I would want to point out there are several families. You've heard from one family, but there are several families that, so it's a matter of not just 2 more kids, it could be a lot more children that would like to
and
be
I
in
think
attendance.
we need to try to work that in as best we can. I know that there's a lack of funding, and I was just wondering about how many additional students or families do you have that would like to be a part of this program? I know that there's a lack of funding, but I'm just wondering how many people would benefit from this program. Do you have a number?
Well, all of our children that have siblings would be of benefit to have them here. So a student, there could be one deaf student, there could be several family members that could benefit and really appreciate that. Not all of them are requesting that. So
Okay.
I've heard from about 10 families that said they're interested in it.
10 families.
And this is, and that's quite a bit for
Yeah.
our deaf school students in the classroom. A small number for other schools is a big number for us. And so it's not just 1 or 2, it's more than that. And that's what makes it so then we have to say, where's that line that what we can't handle, it's and being equitable.
Okay. Thanks for that so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tanner. Okay, Dr. Voorhees, would you like to speak? And then Member Brinton.
Thank you, Chair. Leah Voorhees, Deputy Superintendent for USBE, not USDB. I wanted to elaborate on Associate Superintendent Tanner's response to you, Vice Chair Booth, about by law. The answer is no. USDB outreach services are not required by law. However, the service from someone who has the proper licensure or credential to fulfill the IEP is required. It is not required that USDB provides the service. It's actually required that the local education agency requires that they provide the service to a blind student or a deaf student, and they have to provide the service of an individual who is credentialed to provide that service. So they can do it themselves, and some do. They could contract with someone, including USDB or someone else. So we just need to clarify. We need to separate USDB from the requirement. And there is a requirement, but it is not that USDB provide the service. It's that service is provided, and the LEA has to figure that out. And generally how they figure that out is to then refer the student to USDB. Does that help clarify for you, Vice Chair Booth? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And I appreciate that. That was essential information. Let's kind of put outreach to the side and focus on what's germane to this specific discussion in terms of the hearing siblings in the school, just for time's sake. So Member Brinton.
Yeah, in regards to the hearing siblings, I know it's ideal to want to keep families together, for sure, with siblings that want to be there. I just wonder, what is the cost comparison of them being at the schools for the deaf and the blind versus at their normal public school or preschool? Is it just for preschool, or are we talking about all the way through elementary? And
Dr. Tanner, can you clarify?
Yes, this rule that we have in front of us is for the deaf and hard of hearing side, the school for the deaf, school age. So preschool, we've been able to allow preschool students over the course of time. That has always been limited to the constraints of the classroom. So that if it gets, for example, if you have 10 kids in the classroom and the new kid that comes in makes that kid a little bit, makes it more overwhelming, the hearing siblings in that classroom or the other students that are in the classroom that are not deaf or hard of hearing would be asked to leave. And that has happened since as long as I can remember. That's been applicable for preschool. This here allows us to provide services to school age students. So on the deaf and hard of hearing side. So those families. So that's the difference.
Thank you. Member Davis.
Thank you. I'm willing to move this if someone will put the motion language up. Thank you. I move that the committee approves R277-800 Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind USDB Draft 1 on first reading and forward to the board for approval on second and final reading.
Okay, we have a motion that the committee approve R277-800 Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind Draft 1 on first reading and forward to the board for approval on second and final reading. Is there any further discussion to this specific motion? It's adding those language, that language, just to clarify that it is a budget scenario. I might ask one question, Dr. Tanner. If you find that the resources are necessary, is this something that you would open up? And I mean, it gives us that this is not stopping anything other than clarifying. Is that accurate?
That is correct. We would love to be able to accommodate this request of parents because we know how important it is to families. If we could do that, that would be lovely. It would be beneficial to all families.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Member Earl.
Did you? I
did.
Okay, sorry. My daughter just walked in and it kind of all happened at the same time.
No problem.
I just wanted to clarify. It's not necessary to put in there. This is just a clarifier because we already have may there, which already suggests that. But I think
absolutely
adding additional clarity. So it's already a may.
It is already a may. Yeah. Yeah. The status quo could happen. We just wanted some clarification.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands. We'll move to a vote. All those in favor of adopting the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. All right, we are going to now move to, I need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing character and professional competency. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a motion by Member Earl. That would require a voice vote. Look, this is to discuss potential movements within the superintendency. This would be for members of our board and the superintendency only. All other guests will be asked to move. So,
Chair Wood.
Yes.
This is really unorthodox, but can I take 1 second point of privilege before you move into executive?
Oh, absolutely. I apologize. I should have asked.
No, it's fine. It looks like Dr. Voorhees might have her hand up too, but I just want to say to all of our USDB experts who are here today that when you spoke in public meeting yesterday and said that it has been a pretty textured month or so, that we hear you and we see you and we support you, and we are grateful to be in a governance lane and we take it seriously, and we want to support you as you manage this beautiful school and amazing students. So thanks for letting me say that, Chair Wood.
No, thank you, Member Davis. Sometimes we get in the motions of just going through, and I appreciate the personal aspect of acknowledging the way we realize the immense amount of work that they have put in. So thank you. Dr. Voorhees, did you have a comment?
Yeah, could you just clarify the language for the motion, please?
Oh, yes. that the board go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the character and professional competency. Actually, I don't have the rest of the motion. I was reading what was on the motion. It was from our motion sheet. It just says discussing.
Okay, so I've got that the committee go into executive session to discuss the character and professional competency of staff.
Yes, we'll say.
Okay. I just want to get it right. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was just reading what was on my motion paper, so I did notice that it hadn't been a complete sentence. So thank you. All right, Member Earl, this is just a vote to go into executive session.
Yes.
Okay, Member
Yes.
Bridget, Member Booth,
Yes.
Member Davis,
Yes.
and Member Longacre.
Yes.
Okay, and I am a yes. All right, so I want to appreciate all of those who have attended. As I said, we will be stopping our, pausing our feed. We will go into executive, and only those in the superintendency and board members are invited into our closed session as we are talking about people. So thank you for being here. So I think we.
Leanne, are we going into a room?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if we go into a separate room. That allows this to probably stay.
Let's see. I can, if you, so
Yeah.
you want Superintendent Hart, and the board members, do you want the USDB associate superintendents? Which superintendents are you talking about? And I'll
Both
create a room.
any superintendency level from both schools, please.
Okay, and USBE or just USDB?
USBE also, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I realize I'm not set as a host, so I couldn't make a.
Gotcha.
That's why I was like,
got it.
wait a minute, it's missing.
Okay, I got it.
So this allows this feed to continue to be open so that we can come out and close the meeting.
And I don't need USB media. Do I need the TriCaster, Alex, and do I need the closed captioner?
No.
Okay. All right,
This is
ready?
like our mics are off, so.
Okay, I think I did it. Does everyone see a room?
Make a motion for us to adjourn.
We have to come out of a motion to come out of executive.
Oh,
first.
sorry.
But thank you for that.
Out of executive.
Okay, we have a motion to come out of executive. Member Brinton?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
No, you just have to say yes.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Member Davis?
Yes.
Member Earl?
Of course.
Yes.
Member Booth?
Yes.
Member Longacre?
Yes.
All right. We want to thank all of you who've attended today. Appreciate the discussion. We'll continue the work that we have to do and be prepared for next month. And I look forward to those strategic plans coming out in November. Member Britton, now we will take your motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairs Wood and Booth.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.